They were saying where they wanted to put a pipeline. I was saying, well, I've never even been up there, and I don't even really see it from my house. It was right along the edge of our property. And I said, actually, it's really close to my neighbor's house. I said, if I was my neighbor, I wouldn't want it there. I said, we wouldn't sign unless it was okay with them. So we went and talked to them, and it was okay with them, I think, because they had to have that pipeline to connect that well and some other well that they were going to get royalties on too. So we let them put that little pipeline through, which I didn't want to. My husband said, we don't even use that, and you get a couple $1,000s. But the man who got that signature that night, he said, can I use your phone? And he went right to our phone, and he called someone, and he said, I got it. And then I was like looking at him, and he turned around and he said, when we're finished with the extraction wells, we're going to sell it to a storage company. And he looked really guilty. And, I'm thinking, what's that?
Did he said that? Yeah. You need to talk to Paul.
Yeah. Well, he already knows that. So anyway, so then everybody thought, we were told these wells would last 10, 15 years. He said sometimes it's only a few years, but usually it's 10, 15, 20 years. Well, as soon as 2 or 3 years was up, 2.5, they said, they're all empty. And then we hear that the storage project is planning to do a storage project. Well, we had no storage. We were one of the ones that had no storage. But we didn't get in the group because, to be honest, our neighbors up here had no storage. Paul Stupp had no storage. And we really, I think these neighbors, once it was storage, they kept coming to us. They wanted to put pipelines like right through the middle of our yard, like one on either side of our house to connect these other wells. And we said, no, you have a pipeline up there. We don't want any more pipelines. We have a no surface use thing, but that whole group actually, they were all together that for some reason it was better for that neighbor. And I guess they had more land than us, and they were all the no storage people. So I think they were trying to jam the pipeline down through our yard. So we weren't really in that group. And then when Tony, the lawyer, came on, and they were having more and more problem, and we were actually starting to settle with the gas company. But what we wanted was continue with no surface use here. You have to, if you want a pipeline, bigger pipeline, you have to keep it up there where it is now. So we were starting to negotiate for that, and they heard about it. Then they tried to stop us, and then they pulled us into the group, and they told us they really needed our little acreage, which is 20 acres. I mean, they have like 250, but I guess just...
Yeah, but they still treated you mean.
Yeah, well, anyway, we were in there for a while, and then I realized, they were not helping us, because there was still this motion. Like, we were all tied up. We couldn't talk to any lawyers or do any negotiating with the gas company on our own. It only had to be through this one lawyer. But they were all old friends and neighbors who all grew up here and went to elementary school together. I mean, we moved here from Baltimore in the 80s. And I saw, like, they're trying, like, they've tied me up so I can't negotiate. And they're trying to change the plan so that it's going right through my property. So I dropped out of the group and got another lawyer, like the 8th, and then I did settle with them. And then we still have a pretty tight contract, which is worthless because I can't even live here now. But saying that they can't do anything beyond what they've already done, which I can't even see it. Like if I look at that ridge, I still see trees. It's up over that ridge. I can't see it here, but it didn't help me. Because that was just the one little pipeline on my property, and the storage project involved how many wells? 24 wells? 23 wells, and I mean, they dug them all around my property. They fracked, they poisoned our water. I'm now sick. Do you know what I'm saying? I can't live here. I will never. You saw me with the rubber gloves. I mean, even just, I don't wash my hands in this. I bring water from the other house in jugs. I wash my hands with the other water anytime I'm touching the water. I said the only thing this water is good for is a free toilet flush, because we have municipal water. We have to pay for all the water we use here. It's a free flush. Yeah. But beyond that, I don't touch the water. I've told my husband, don't you dare shower in this water, because even if he tests it 1 month and they say it passes, you don't know what they're doing out there.
Be, a 3-day event.
Yeah, and that's what it was. Whatever came through. When I was exposed to a couple months later,
Right.
if I was, I don't know. I don't know if I ever took another bath after that,
Yeah.
to be honest. But I did notice, like when I was washing my hands, sometimes when I would wash my hands, the water would feel oily,
Yeah.
and my fingertips would turn like a reddish brown, and then other times it wouldn't. So I said sometimes things are flowing through here,
Mhm.
and I can tell by the feel of the water. And sometimes the water was cloudy, other times the water was clear. But you have no control over what they're doing, and they sure don't disclose what they're doing. And it's huge. Now it's like an overwhelming.
Did you have any pets or anything at the time?
Yeah, we have always had 2 dogs and 2 cats. And my cat and my dog, my last cat and dog, both died within the same month. And they didn't have that, like we've had a lot of dogs die of old age and they're buried around here.
Right.
So this dog was not real young, but it wasn't that long, slow progression. And the cat actually wouldn't drink the water. She would go up to her water bowl, stare at it, and walk away. And then they were drinking the water out of the bottom of the plants. I don't know if it's because it
Filtered.
filtered through the dirt, but they both died. The cat got this glazed look on her eyes, and and she developed neurological. We said she's having epileptic fits. She would start like having these epileptic fits where her leg would like
Mhm.
get real straight
Right.
and paralyzed, and like she'd do this flipping around thing, and then she'd look unconscious for a little while, and then she'd like come to, and then she'd be okay for a while. So that was going on for a year probably before she actually died, and she died the same month the dog died. The dog was big. Cat died first, like 2 or 3 weeks later the dog died, and that we were both giving them the tap water. We were drinking bottled
Mhm.
water from Roaring Spring.
And how long do you think that was after they started drilling around here? I mean, are we talking like 2002, 2000?
The dog and the cat died like the summer. It was right around the same time that I had the incident, because the dog was still alive, like right before we signed. Now see this, I'm gonna have to get my contract out and see when I sign. But the dog, actually, that last walk we took around before we signed to look, to just look at the edges of our property. I wasn't even sure where all the borders of my property were. I had never been out there. The dog actually walked with us, but he died shortly after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't really have any more specific questions for you. Is there anything else you'd want to tell me, or tell anybody else that was going to listen to this that may be interested in the effects that the gas company would tell you of hydrofracking?
No, just that I actually have seen from the stuff the DEP reports from the stuff out west. I've seen other reports on the internet that the fracking chemicals cause cancer and neurological problems. They were the 2 big categories. So I'm convinced it causes neurological problems, and I wasn't even drinking the water. It's just that I bathed in and absorbed through.
Do you see the same doctor about this all the time?
Yeah.
And I hate for you to speak for his opinion, but I mean, is he kind of on your side with maybe the cause?
I think the doctors this doctor's in Blair County, and there's a real big political push. Like, I saw this stuff about Blair County. They were asking, gas drillers wanted to develop the Marcellus Shale in Blair County, and everybody with their budgets being kind of bad, they were actually considering giving some of the municipal lands for fracking. And I think the doctors just generally don't want to get on anybody's bad side. They're very objective and scientific too. So, if they ruled out multiple sclerosis. This is just transverse myelitis. It can have a lot of different underlying diseases, anything that affects your nervous system. But I never had, if I do this last blood test this month before I go on July 31st, the only other 3 things that would be underlying diseases would be these 3 that they're going to test for. So if they all come up negative, then I'd have to assume that it was
You're like
the
99.9%
toxins.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot that the environmental toxins can cause transverse.